It's all starting to make sense, isn't it? Everything's adding together.
From New York, it's Saturday night! And live from Pocahontas, Arkansas, it's 50 Topics with Graydon Carter and Joseph Berry.
Hello and welcome to Channel 1864.
Thanks for dropping in for our special tonight, 50 Topics. I'm Graydon Carter.
And I'm Joseph Berry.
And for the foreseeable future,
You'll be here with us
learning everything you need to know.
to maybe possibly pass a 10th of an A-push test.
So sit back
Look Miss Grooms in the eye.
and tell her to give us 100. Which came first, the Civil War or the chicken?
That was a stupid joke.
As is my paycheck. Regardless, before we can talk about the war itself,
We need to discuss all that stuff that happened before it.
that sounded professional.
Why, thank you.
Anyway, here's Kenneth.
In a little segment we like to call
The Rebellion Prelims!
Hey guys, I'm here in the field ready to talk about the Rebellion Prelims. Before the Civil War, the United States went through a very tumultuous time. That's right, I can use large words. One thing that started to separate the states was the Compromise of 1850. These 5 bills dealt with many issues across the nation, most involving issues between slave or free states. One bill kept California from separating into 2 separate states. Another took the New Mexico Territory away from Texas. The Fugitive Slave Act was passed, and slavery was banned in Washington, D.C. 10 years after the compromises were passed, the Crittenden Compromise did not pass, which tried to take slavery out of federal hands, slavery issues out of federal hands, and abolish slavery in the North.
Kansas, Kansas, oh how I love you. Though your days are gone, I still love you. Oh Kansas, you are the light of my life. You are the saddle on my horse. Kansas, I love you.
The Act repealed the Missouri Compromise, allowing territories north of the 36-degree 30-minute line to be open to popular sovereignty in relation to slavery. Poor bleeding Kansas, who represents Kansas after abolitionist and pro-slave advocates' arguments erupted into bloodshed. This was most definitely caused by the Kansas-Nebraska Act. John Brown was the leader of the abolitionist movement and was the faction in the fighting. Good job, guys. Poor bleeding Kansas will never be the same again.
We're adding some sunshine to my day, Kenneth.
You're an idiot.
Oh. Well, who is that John Brown guy Kenneth mentioned?
As it turns out, I really don't know. But I'll end up an interview with him so we can figure it out.
Well, let's do it.
Mr. Brown, I didn't know we were doing the interview in the studio.
I do things where I want.
Okay, well, why don't you tell the audience who you are?
Well, I'm John Brown, and I'm an abolitionist.
And, what do you do?
Me and my boys took Harper's Ferry. We took guns and very important people. Tried to get the slaves to help me,
Okay.
but they didn't.
Oh, why not?
I don't know. But I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for Robert E. Lee and his militia.
Okay.
I hate them.
Well, I really, I really don't know what to say. That's John Brown, everybody. That was educational.
Now on to our next topic.
The top 5 reasons of the Civil War with Haley Baltz.
Number 1, the social and economic differences between the North and the South. Number 2, the Northerners had a more industrial environment, while the Southerners had an agricultural environment. Number 3, the Northerners favored federal rights, while the Southerners favored states' rights. Number 4, the South promoted slavery,
Boy!
while the North
Thank you for that, Miss Baltz.
Now, let's discuss one last major cause of the war.
But I'm ready for battlefield coverage.
Graydon, shut your trap. This is important.
Fine.
Okay then. In 1793, as an effort to exercise some influence over the nation, the South pushed the Fugitive Slave Act through Congress, which allowed for plantation owners and slave hunters into the North to reclaim their fugitive property, their escaped slaves. It also made it illegal to aid these fugitives in their escape. And as you can imagine, this greatly angered abolitionists to no end.
Sparking the kindling of an all-out war, South Carolina seceded from the Union on December 20th, 1860.
Not a happy family scene.
Absolutely not. Can we talk about fun stuff now?
Let go.
Let's start out with Section 3, the worst war. The American Civil War began on April 12, 1861. It was basically a big catfight between the Union and the Confederacy.
Just so you know, let's give some background information. The Confederacy was the coalition of states that didn't like being part of the United States, so they succeeded. And their president, who was elected, his name was Jefferson Davis.
Kind of like a rebellious teenager.
Exactly! Did you just see?
I don't know, just move on. Next line.
Next line. Okay. Well, the states that were left over after this, primarily in the North, they called themselves the Union, and they were led by President Lincoln.
Let's do interviews with some important figures of the war, starting with President Lincoln.
Sounds good.
Hi, I'm Abraham Lincoln, and I am President of the Union. I'm 6'4", making me the tallest president ever.
Mr. Lincoln, please sit down.
Okay. I was born in Kentucky, but served as a senator for Illinois, which makes sense because I practiced law for 25 years there in Springfield. It's been a tough road getting here, but now I'm President of the United States. Or what's left of it anyway. Howdy, my name is Robert E. Lee, and I was born in Virginia. My daddy fought in the American Revolutionary War. He was a great man. And I attended West Point Academy, y'all. Now, after Virginia decided to secede from the nation, I decided I'd join the Confederate Army. And they appointed me general. And I'll let you know a little secret. I've always had a deathly fear of courthouses. Hi, my name is Ulysses S. Grant, and I was born in Ohio. I like horses. My name used to be Haram. Is anyone gonna see this?
No, man, you're good.
Okay, good. I went to West Point Academy like that pansy Robert E. Lee. And after West Point, I served in the military like every good boy should. I served in the Mexican-American War. And after my service, they named me General of the Union Army. They called me Mr. Unconditional Surrender. You know, I really don't like Robert E. Lee at all. At all. That's why I plan to kick his butt at Appomattox. Someday, I might even run for president. I'm Jefferson Davis, and I'm current president of the Confederate States of America. Before that, I served as Secretary of War for the Confederate States of America. Before that, I was Senator for Mississippi. That's M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. Or for you less educated folks, that's M-I, crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback I. Now, I didn't really want to secede, so I quit my job as senator. Somehow, I wound up as president of this whole shebang. But I really hope we win, because this whole stuff seems pretty treasonous to me.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Hey! I'm Horace L. Hoonley, here to tell you about my amazing invention. It's a ship that can sink. I know you're thinking, what's so special about that? All ships can sink. You don't want a ship to sink. Well, this ship can sink, and the people inside the ship can still breathe. It's amazing, right? Well, I patented this. I call it the fish boat. Fish boat. Because it's a fish, and it's a boat. It's a fish boat. Anyways, I can see them out on the battlefield real soon. And I guarantee 110% that they will not explode. Probably, but they might, so be careful around them. Okay, bye.
Buy the fish boat on Amazon now.
Hello, this is Joseph Barry with Lost Transition. Number 1. When we last left off, we had taken a word from our sponsor. So you can tell some time has passed since then. But before I can tell you what happened, we have to get back to the interviews. Why is it so dark in here? Oh, Mr. Stanton? Mr. Stanton, wake up. It's me, Joseph, from 50 Topics. Remember we had an interview with you today?
Oh, yeah. My name is Edwin Stanton, and I was born in Ohio like General Grant. I have a law firm in Ohio. I was married 2 times and have 6 kids. Don't ever have kids. They're awful. I serve as Secretary of War for Abraham Lincoln. And took control of all Union communications and railroads. I was the one who pushed back General William in the Battle of Chattanooga, thanks to these technologies. It was also my idea to have all freed African Americans join in the Union Army. I'm basically a genius. If anyone did anything to any major Union official, I would be the one to prosecute them. Lord bless their souls. I raised some Major Cain.
Hi, I'm William Sherman, and I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a soldier, a businessman, a teacher, and an author, and you can buy my book on Amazon. I'm one of the lesser-known generals of the Union Army, next to Mr. Grant over there. And what did he even do? What's so cool about him? I led directly, by taking Atlanta, to the re-election of Abraham Lincoln. Pretty cool, right? Also, I accepted the surrenders of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. What's Grant even want to be? He wants to be president? That's a joke. I don't understand why anyone likes him more than me.
Now that was informational.
Yeah, it was. Now, let's have a talk about something called the Conscription Act. It requires all men ages 20 to 45 to enlist in the draft, requiring them to come to service if they're called. The act even requires aliens to enlist. It's going pretty wild. It does have loopholes, though, as the rich are able to pay their way out of enlisting.
Well, speaking of the military, Dakota just called. There's a battle about to begin right now.
Time for a battle scene! Yes!
Let's go to Dakota, our battlefield reporter on the scene.
Hey guys, glad to finally be a part of this news report. I've been here for 32 hours and it looks like the Union Fort Sumter is about to surrender. It all started yesterday when the Confederate Army started firing upon the fort, which was April 12th. Looks like an early win for the Confederacy. My hangnail. Shoot.
This is entry number 2. I don't know how much longer I can stay here in this bunker, but the most important thing is that you understand Abraham Lincoln's election, his first election to being President of the United States of America.
My name is Abraham Lincoln, and I was elected President of the United States of America in 1860. It's a great time to be president, huh? I was the first president to be elected under the Republican ticket, and the popular vote was unimportant. I gained publicity through my debates with Mr. Douglas. So take that, Mr. Douglas!
I'm so glad we've got so much exclusive time with the president.
It's because he doesn't do much.
Now back to Dakota at Bull Run.
I'm at the Battle of Bull Run. The date today is July 16th, 1861, and Virginia is getting its first taste of the Civil War. Today, the Union forces took the initiative and attacked Confederate forces beyond Bull Run, beyond Centerville. And it looks like the right flank of the Union forces are starting to weaken. Right now, I am here with Thomas Jackson, a Confederate officer. What do you have to say, Mr. Jackson?
I'm a Stonewall.
A Stonewall, you say?
Yes, I'm a Stonewall, so you call me Stonewall.
It sounds like the right flank of the Union has fallen. Congrats, Mr. Jackson. Your forces were not all destroyed.
What'd you say? You call me Stonewall!
What?
You call me Stonewall Jackson! You call me Stonewall!
An interesting battle and an interesting interview with Mr. Jackson, Mr. Stonewall.
Hey, Graydon, do you remember that conscription act, the one about the draft?
I literally talked about it 5 minutes ago.
Rude. Well, anyways, there's a bit of a problem.
Let's go to Kenneth in New York City. He's there to report on these issues.
It's a bad time here in New York City. You see, freed slaves do not have to submit a draft card, and this does not sit well with the white people in the area. 11 African Americans have been killed, some tortured and mutilated. Government officials are being attacked, and an orphanage has been burnt down. This is a terrible time for New York City and for humanity.
As always, Kenneth makes our day a little bit better.
There's not a thing that little cutie could say to make me frown.
You're exactly right, Joseph. Let's move on to another major topic, railroads in the Civil War. We have Stanton on the scene.
These railroads are our transportation for the war. First time these babies have been used in the military. Lucky for us Northerners, we've got way more railroads up here than the Confederates do down there. Unfortunately, all the railroad workers are in the war and all the ports to get repair parts are closed. So I figure these railroads are gonna get pretty cruddy. The main ports are in Chattanooga, Atlanta, and Richmond.
Help me!
Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Getting tired.
Yeah. Anyways, interesting developments here in the warfare with the railroad system, but why was it nighttime there?
Time differences.
Makes sense. Well, I got like a million, bazillion, trillion, bazinga calls from Dakota.
That's a lot of calls, man.
That's a lot. But I wonder what he wanted.
Probably.
We missed a naval battle.
No! What are you talking about?
Luckily for us, Dakota's got a reenactment set up.
In the ocean?
We'll see.
Wait. Important info. President Lincoln has suspended the writ of habeas corpus, which provides for a fair trial for all convicts or suspected convicts, even during times of war. He stated that the completion of the Union is much more important than anything else currently, and that was getting in his way, I guess. So, I guess we can go to Dakota.
Guys, I'm here in my grandma's bathtub. My water's out.
Sonny, are you ever gonna get out of that bathtub?
Yes, Grandma!
Okay.
So anyway, since we missed the battle at Hampton Road, where the Monitor and the Merrimack faced off, I'm going to give y'all guys a quick rundown, okay? So anyway, you had the Merrimack, which is Confederate, and then you had the Cumberland of the Union. So the Merrimack fired upon the Cumberland and sank it. Okay. So then the Union was PO'd, so they sent in the Monitor, and they went at it for hours. Just well, anyway, the Merrimack took so much damage that it finally had to retire. So, yeah, that's how it went down.
Sonny, is it
Oh yeah, are you wanting another date, Grandma?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of interested in this
Oh
little
yeah,
thing.
it's March 8, 1862.
Alright, great, but I hate to burst your bubble now, but you've used all the hot water and Fifi still smells like dog poo.
Alright, I'm getting out, Grandma. Alright. Oh, my arm! Oh, God! The pain! Oh, hush, Grandma!
Oh, that was actually hilarious.
And now we know. Maybe too much.
Let's talk about something boring.
Don't say that. Everything's important.
Regardless, the Moral Land Grant Act is boring. Only Miss Grooms would enjoy that at all.
Then
Luckily,
I'll talk about it.
she's the one grading our project, so you go ahead.
But it's so boring that I didn't even learn these lines.
And I'm taking a nap.
Okay. The Moral Land Grant Act was signed into effect by President Lincoln on July 2nd, maybe on a Tuesday, 1862.
There's pillows down here.
This act provided each state with 30,000 acres of land per congressional delegation member in the state. The land was to be used to build universities that emphasized agricultural and mechanical arts majors. 69 colleges were founded across the nation due to this act. Vermontian Congressman Justin Morrill funded this act, which is why it was called the Moral Land Grant Act. Your line.
School is boring. I hate school.
Unfortunately, that's not all of the boring stuff.
Well, you're reading it again. Boring is not my area of expertise.
I hate you.
Go ahead.
But I also didn't learn these lines. So, let me give it a shot. This one's about the Homestead Act, which was passed on May 20th, 1862. This act granted 180 acres of land to a single male settler, who dedicated 5 years of work to the land and was the head of the household. This act encouraged Western movement and expansion. All that was required of the settlers was the payment of a small registration fee.
Are we done?
Finally. Let's move on from school and land stuff to something admittedly more fun, like another battle.
Do you think Dakota's recovered from that fall yet?
Dakota, actually, he went to the doctor's office this morning and we didn't pay for that.
That's good because we don't have any money.
We don't get paid. Okay. Well, he's got a broken arm and everything, but he's A-okay.
So he's on the battlefield. Let's go to Dakota.
Hey fellas, I'm here at Strasburg, Maryland at the Battle of Antietam. Today has been one of the bloodiest days of the Civil War. General McClellan of the Union and Lee of the Confederacy are facing off today in another fierce battle. Bad for the Union, it looks like Confederate reinforcements are coming up from Harper's Ferry. This battle looks like it could end in a standstill. Oh, I'm getting a call. Hello?
Sonny, now, what was that date again?
Oh, my grandma wanted me to make sure I told y'all the date. It was September 17th, 1862. Thanks, Grandma.
That's my birthday. I would like a cake, please.
I don't have time to make you a cake.
No.
Alright, well, that's about it, guys.
Oh, my leg! Oh!
Oh, okay, back to y'all in the studio.
Oh! Oh!
Is his grandma on our payroll?
Definitely not, but she makes sure he gets his job done, and plus, she hasn't sued yet, so let it be.
Sounds like a winner to me.
Anyways, President Lincoln has been telling everybody that Antietam was a win for the Union.
That just doesn't make any sense. Dakota reported a tie.
But you see, he enacted an Emancipation Proclamation.
What's that?
Well, I don't really know.
Okay.
But let's go to President himself to find out.
I put my Emancipation Proclamation into effect on July 1st, 1863. I did this because we won the Battle of Antietam. We won the Battle of Antietam. This proclamation made it where all slaves in the South were free, and eventually I hope to have all slaves in the nation free, and maybe someday you'll see freed African Americans fighting for the Union. God bless our troops.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Let's go to Dakota at Chancellorsville.
Important things are happening here at the Battle of Chancellorsville. It's April 30th, 1863 here in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. It looks like this battle's going to be a long one, showing that Mr. Lee is showing some serious muscle.
Swag!
Sorry for interrupting this program. No, I'm not. Hello there, and I'm Sarah Barton, and I'd just like to say that women are doing some amazing things, like working as nurses in the military, no matter what those men say about it.
Hey guys, the battle is over and it's May 6th. I've been shot, but I can still breathe. Oh, but Mr. Stonewall died here at Chancellorsville. I really hope y'all got something to commemorate his death. Man.
Oh, I guess we should talk. Mr. Jackson, Stonewall. He was born on January 21st, 1824, and died on May 10th, 1863. He was an amazing Confederate general, and he fought harder than anyone.
Other than General Lee.
Don't you dare say that. Anyways, Mr. Pickett's, that coward, accidentally shot Mr. Stonewall just a few days ago at the battle Dakota was covering, Chancellorsville.
Jackson lost his arm from a shot and survived, but died from complications of pneumonia 8 days later.
His death has been a major setback for the Confederacy, affecting both its military and its morale.
He will be sorely missed. We've mourned and it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Let's go back to our daily lives and continue with the broadcast.
Dakota just called.
Well, tell him to take a message. I'm not in the mood.
Come here.
Another battlefield has been built here at Gettysburg today on July 1st, 1853. Confederate General Lee has concentrated his army at Gettysburg, but General Lee forces are stationed. The city of when any Union forces will be pushed back behind Cemetery Hill. Another city Confederate has set through, though. Pickett and Lee and what's coming to them, and means is pretty much awesome. Estimate about 51,000 deaths in this battle. Thanks for answering my call, jerk.
I guess he bit his tongue during that message or something.
Dakota is such a good reporter, always giving us exactly what we need.
I think he's already ready for another battle.
How is that even possible?
Graydon, that voicemail is a few days old.
Oh, that wasn't the voicemail he just left, so I guess we're good.
No time to jibber jabber, Graydon. We have to go to Dakota at Vicksburg.
On to Dakota in the field.
Hey guys, thanks for giving me my screen time back. It's July 4th, 1863 here at the Battle of Vicksburg. General Grant has taken General Pendleton's Confederate Army. Pendleton has officially surrendered. This is a decisive victory for the Union, officially splitting the Confederacy in half. If that's not cool, I don't know what is. But guys, do we have a company insurance? Because I've broken my back and I don't have money to pay for all my injuries. So if you could get back to me on that, that'd be great. Back to you guys in the studio.
He thinks we have insurance on him.
Oh, Dakota, you kill me.
Actually, He's probably going to be dead by the end of this.
Oh, it's okay. He's a trooper.
And now to Mr. President, who has come to address the people of Gettysburg in the wake of the battle just a few months prior.
I'll not perish from the earth!
Yeah! I've just given my address here at Gettysburg to commemorate the sacrifice of these lives. Today is November 19th, 1863. Now back to you guys at the station.
An amazing, brave order passed by our president.
And in relation to freeing the slaves, 1,000 newly freed African Americans have enlisted in the 54th Massachusetts, a regiment of the Army coming from Boston, Massachusetts. Today is May 28th, 1863, and the regiment is being led by Robert Gould Shaw. They all found some volunteerism when the Confederates posted their plans for captured African Americans.
Not pretty?
Not at all.
You know, I heard Mr. Douglas's kids were a part of that volunteer force.
It's all funny how things work out, isn't it?
Tis.
On a serious note, the regiment has been destroying undefended towns in Georgia and is protesting their $3 difference in pay from the white soldiers in the Union Army.
I've heard they plan on taking Fort Wagner on July 18th, but I'm thinking that maybe they should reconsider and replan.
Well, I just love President Lincoln. He's such a good fellow.
I agree.
But wait, there's more of him!
What? He's released a campaign promotion. Let's check it out.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, nameless reporter that I don't care about, but it's 1864 and it's time to vote again. See, it's good for me because the southern states don't get votes this year, seeing as they have created their own country. Now, I'm running under the Republican ticket again, against this snake McClellan. He's for all this peace junk, but doesn't believe a lick of it himself. Most of the border Democrat states are on my side, seeing as there's a war going on. Now, if you'd vote for me, I'd be mighty obliged.
Telling you, he's the best man on the planet.
I concur.
More important events are already occurring in 1864.
Mr. President, President Lincoln, has authorized an offensive against Shreveport, Louisiana, here in the spring of 1864, due to its position as capital of Louisiana and its importance to Texan trade. They'll travel by Red River. Although his generals oppose the plan, Lincoln insists its importance to the war. On their way there, they have been attacked multiple times, yes, losing men and to death and capture. But time will tell if this Red River campaign will succeed.
That was pretty ominous. Lincoln really does serve as commander-in-chief, both symbolically and in all actuality.
And it looks like we're nearing the final days of this Civil War.
Both sides were unprepared, under-equipped, and fighting against their own brothers. I'm glad we've almost reached the finale.
For the last time, the two warring forces, that of pro-slavery, Old World South, and that of industrial, advancing North, have come at odds at Appomattox.
That was a very good pronunciation. Let's head to Dakota one last time.
Looks like he won't get hurt much longer.
Let's hope not.
There seems to be a finality about today. I don't know what it is, but I could just feel it. Today's April 9th, 1865, and General Lee's Northern Virginia Army is here to face off against Grant's army. Unfortunately for Lee, he's been at the siege of St. Petersburg for the past 10 months, weakening his forces. Well, Lee launched an attack early this morning, uninformed of the number of Union forces that Grant commanded. Besides the Union cavalry, the cavalry was also backed up by 2 corps of infantry. This forced General Lee having to surrender. The documents of surrender are being signed in the house parlor owned by William McLean. It looks like my role in this war is coming to a close. I don't think. Ah!
Dakota was a brave man, and he died doing what he loved.
I'm proud of his sacrifice. We loved him dearly.
But the good news is, this civil war that's plagued our nation is drawing to a close.
On April 12th, 1865, the North Virginian Confederate Army was disbanded, its soldiers sent home, and its officers paroled.
Oh my Cotton!
What happened?
President Lincoln has just been assassinated in Ford Theater in Washington.
On Good Friday? Like on April 14th, 1865?
Exactly.
What happened?
It says here on my newsfeed, John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer, also an actor. He planned with 2 or 3 other traitors to kill Mr. Lincoln, Mr. Seward, the Secretary of State, and Mr. Johnson, the Vice President.
They planned to take out the top 3, I guess.
Looks like it, but luckily for the rest of us, Johnson's assassin chickened out at the last minute, and Seward's failed to kill him because Seward is a train of a man.
We're getting information on the funeral and burial of Mr. Lincoln currently.
I'm seeing it here. It says here that former President Lincoln, he'll be taken home by train from Washington, D.C. to Springfield, Illinois, to be interred along with his son, William.
We'd like to take a moment of silence for Mr. Lincoln, his family, and the nation as a whole.
I didn't just delete it from the app, I deleted it
From the phone. What is this?
That was a game.
On a positive note, the war has been declared over today on May 10th, 1865.
And with the end of the war comes another amendment to the Constitution, the 13th.
It's my line.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's right. And, in the honor of Lincoln, the 13th Amendment abolishes slavery in the United States and has been ratified on December 6th, 1865.
Mr. Lincoln would be proud.
Indeed. Now, to President Johnson and his vision for Reconstruction, an era of rebuilding the nation.
My name is Andrew Johnson, and I'm now president because Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. I have many different views than Abraham Lincoln, including the quick restoration of the Confederacy back into the Union. I've granted amnesty to most of the Confederate leaders, giving them all their land back under the provision that they follow the 13th Amendment. I do not believe in equality of the races, therefore I do not believe in African American suffrage.
Well, his vision of Reconstruction is a bit odd.
The equality of whites and blacks is still far away.
Johnson has been incredibly lenient in his policies, granting over 6,000, presidential pardons. That's a large number. And he's not really been discouraging the racial violence that's gone rampant in this country.
Speaking of racial violence, we have a very important topic to discuss, the Ku Klux Klan.
Otherwise known as the KKK.
Oddly enough, we found a KKK member to interview.
He actually came to us.
I'm going to leave this one to Joseph. Give us a few minutes to set up the studio and we'll be right back.
So, hello sir, what's your name and what do you do exactly?
My name is J. Calvin Jones and I don't like the mixing of races.
But sir, they're people too, they deserve equality. They deserve...
We have secret handshakes and cool outfits, and we burn crosses because we love Jesus.
Okay, well, I think this interview's over.
The South will rise again!
Interesting interview you had there, bud.
I don't want to talk about it.
2 more amendments are being ratified, you know?
Really? Well, that is interesting. Let's go to someone who knows a little bit more about the 14th and 15th Amendments than we do.
He knows everything.
Let's go to Brent Miller.
I'm Brent Miller, even though you all know that. You're welcome for letting me be in your project. You're very honored. The 14th Amendment says that everyone born in the United States is a citizen regardless of race. Then the 15th says that if you are a citizen, then you can vote no matter what. So the African Americans now have the right to vote. And you're welcome again for letting me be in your project.
My phone is ringing and it's Taylor Swift, so I love that. I've gotta go answer it. Okay, it's bingo night again? Oh my gosh!
Oh, sorry, smoker. Anyways, thanks, Mr. Miller. You're a genius.
Let's move on.
That's my OM coach.
Because we've already talked about the presidential reconstruction and the policies of Andrew Johnson, now we can talk about the military reconstruction.
With the control of Congress being in radical Republican hands, the military has been authorized to control 10, that's right, 10 Confederate states, grouped into 5 military districts. 20,000, that's a lot. 20,000 troops have been deployed to enforce the grouping and to control the once rebellious states.
You know, 20,000 is almost triple what Dakota made a year. The purpose of the military's reconstruction and inhabitants of the South is to reshape the government of the once Confederate states. The presidency wants to put in leaders that are anti-slavery and that will support the African Americans' right to vote. Little combat has occurred and martial law has been very effective. Confederate leaders have been excluded from politics for a short period of time.
All southern states were readmitted into the Union by 1870, and President Grant granted, it's funny, Grant granted,
it's a pun,
amnesty to past Confederate leaders with the signing of the Amnesty Act of 1872.
The broadcast is almost over, folks, I promise.
I'd hope so. I've had to go to the bathroom for like 10 years.
Only 2 things left, I promise.
Let's hurry then. Carpetbaggers were white Northerners who stayed in or moved south after the war in order to help reform
or profit from
the South by developing it from its rural and old-timey societies, by developing material resources and introducing things in the South that had been in the North for a long while, such as free labor unions and public schools.
And for our Scalawag segment, we've got a piece of film of an actual scalawag. Be careful, people. This gets intense.
I'm an anonymous scalawag. I'm a native from the South, a Republican, and I support the Reconstruction.
Well, that was invigorating.
And that's the end of our broadcast.
Thanks for staying around with us for literally 13 years.
Now, we've put a ton of work into this for you guys.
And so remember, it'd be really nice if you guys to ask Miss Grooms if she'd give us 100.
So have a nice life, and remember,
we learn history
in order not to repeat it.
Good night!